I'm Julian. I work at a pretty big company that deals with the financial aid of other companies. I was very happy with my job, although I didn't work too hard at it. I figured that I was going to get paid either way, so why worry and do all the extra work around the office? I would get my own work done and then spend some time scrolling on my phone or talking with my coworkers. Most of them did the same as me, and it was a happy medium we had reached at the offices. We'd go out for drinks after work, and sometimes my coworkers and I would even bring along our partners to these after-work gatherings. I sometimes took my own girlfriend Kathy to them too. One night, me and a few of my closer work friends went out for some drinks, and I invited Kathy to come too. The night was going well, and after a few drinks, I completely forgot all about my problems at work. We had a great time, and I really enjoyed myself. But the next morning, something started to change. Kathy seemed colder to me than usual, and I couldn't understand why. She seemed to be having a great time last night, just like I did, so I didn't think much of it at the time. I just said goodbye to her and headed off to work like nothing was wrong, but it still bugged me a little bit. I couldn't focus much on my work that day, but it didn't really matter. My deadline wasn't for another few days, so I had plenty of time still. After work, my work buddies invited me out for dinner with them, and I agreed. Maybe some time apart would help Kathy, but when we arrived at the restaurant, Kathy was already there. I was shocked. I had texted her to tell her I was out with my friends tonight, but I never told her where. As we were seated, I asked her how she had found us, and she told me that Dean had invited her to come with them. Of course, it was Dean. He was notorious for being a horrible misogynist and arrogant bragger. He was always boasting about how great he was and how much money he made. Since he was our supervisor, we sometimes felt obligated to invite him along to these types of get-togethers to try and get on his good side. I didn't trust Dean one bit. Why would he invite my girlfriend to something without asking me first? I didn't want to make a scene in front of my coworkers, so I just stood up and told Kathy we were leaving. To my surprise, she actually wanted to stay. I tried to tell her that I didn't want her being close to Dean, but she refused and didn't budge an inch from the table. Fine, I knew I would lose my cool soon, so I decided to go for a walk to calm down. I walked around the block for a little while before I returned to the restaurant. When I did, I found that my coworkers had all left. I searched for them and even asked the waiter where they went, but I didn't have any luck. Sadly, I gave up and returned home. Kathy returned after a few more hours, and when I asked her where she had been, she avoided the question, saying that she and the rest of my coworkers decided to go dancing instead and forgot I had left them earlier. It was obviously a lie. But I was tired after this emotional day and decided that I would wait until the morning to talk to her about it. When I woke up, Kathy was already gone. I guess she didn't want to talk about it at all. But she would have to come home eventually. I just had to wait until then. I went to work with a lot on my mind. I arrived at the office and greeted my friends from last night. I asked them about what happened last night, and they gave the same story. They went dancing and forgot about me. It was really weird, but they seemed on edge around me. Before I could sit at my desk, I heard my name called by HR. So I nervously entered the office and found Dean sitting there with the HR representative. The representative explained to me that there were rumors circulating that I was abusing my girlfriend and that Dean had come forward with evidence for it. I was horrified. I'd never ever touched Kathy before. Suddenly I realized why everyone in the office seemed to be so nervous around me. Dean was spreading rumors around. The HR rep told me that this was a serious allegation, and if they found it true, they'd have to fire me. But I couldn't hold my tongue anymore. I told them the truth about Dean and how he was lying to ruin my reputation. I demanded to see the evidence too. That's when Dean showed me his phone. There was a video of Kathy crying on it, and she was saying all the ways I hit her and yelled at her when she made small mistakes. But at the very end of the video, she looked up for a brief second and I recognized her smile. She was smirking behind her tears. She was lying too. I tried to explain and tell them the video was faked, but they wouldn't believe me. Plus, after she refused to go home the other day, it only made things worse that my coworkers thought it was me being abusive. The HR rep explained that I was going to be suspended for a week while they looked into the allegation and I should go home. I didn't argue, but I knew they wouldn't find anything. When I got home, the first thing I did was try to call Kathy. When she answered, I calmly asked her about the video. She said it was true, and there was no use denying it. She was just glad that now she had a real boyfriend who would treat her right and give her what she deserved. That's when I heard Dean's voice over the phone laughing. She was with him now? This was terrible. I hung up and cried by myself for a while. I lost my girlfriend and maybe even my job. But when I stopped crying, I was more determined than ever before. I got to work in my own home, doing research and brushing up my skills for my return. I was going to make them both sorry for messing with me. A week passed by and I was allowed to return to work. They didn't find any evidence of abuse, but Dean said he'd have an eye on me. My coworkers were wary now, avoiding conversations with me and refusing to invite me to their after-work hangouts anymore. But that was fine with me. I was a changed man now. Instead of doing the minimum, I began putting all my effort into my job. I learned enough programming skills to automate some of the harder parts of my job, and then focused on improving the company and making money. Without friends or a girlfriend, I was able to put everything into my work, and it soon caught the attention of my boss. He was very impressed with my work, and since I seemed to be the only one who knew what he was doing, he offered me a promotion to a very high-level position. The first thing I did as soon as I was promoted was asking HR to do a background check on Dean. As I expected, they found lots and lots of horrible comments, posts on social media, and even some threats he had made online as well. With all of this coming to light, they couldn't afford to keep him around and Dean got fired. I was happy to be rid of him, even though he begged me for his old job back. I ignored him and continued with my work, bringing in lots of profits for our company. Kathy even called me one day and said,
"Hi, Julian. You know I still love you, right? Please, let's get back together. And by the way, I was only joking. I didn't mean what I said in that video."
But I told her that she had made her choice. If she had picked right, she'd still be with me and the girlfriend of a rich vice president instead of the girlfriend to a nobody bum. I blocked both of them in my phone and settled down in my new office. I guess I should really thank both of them though. Without them, I would have never been pushed to improve like this. Thanks for watching. Or